Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope your day and your week are going well so far. Got a new day, which of course means a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it means a ton to us. We've got a decent MLB slate on tonight, and I have 7 picks to share with you guys that I'm pretty excited about. But first, before we dive into today's video, a quick little recap of what we did yesterday. Now, I did originally hand out 5 picks in yesterday's video. Unfortunately, 2 of them, Blake Perkins and Cedric Mullins, did not play. They were not in the lineup last night, so unfortunately, those 2 props don't get graded. But for the 3 props that did get graded, they were all hits across the board. That's right, guys. We swept last night. Again, I know I originally gave out 5 picks. Only 3 of them actually counted, but the 3 that counted, we hit. So that is a sweep, guys. A really solid night for us. We are now 66-45 on the season with our MLB Player Props. We are on a great run of late. And, of course, with a sweep, with a perfect night last night, you know I got to bring out the money gun. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Gotta love when we break out that money gun, guys. All right, 7 picks in today's MLB slate. Let's jump into today's video. We are not wasting any time today, guys. Jumping right into the Outlier screen. Shout out to Outlier, our sponsor for every player prop video here on the channel. As always, they're the best sports betting tool on the market. I tell you guys all the time, even if I wasn't sponsored by Outlier, I would still use them. That's the God's honest truth. They are a fantastic sports betting tool. It consolidates all the data that would normally take you hours of research across multiple websites to do. We do have a special link down below in our description. It gives you a 7-day free trial to check it out for yourself. There's no cost at all. You don't like it after 7 days, you cancel, and guess what? You didn't lose anything at all, except for maybe a little bit of your time. But there's no cost at all for the first 7 days when you use our special link down below. So, guys, make sure to go ahead and check that out. You guys will not regret it. It's a guarantee from me to you. You guys will love Outlier. All right, guys, our first pick of today's slate, we're targeting the Reds-Pirates game, 12:30 p.m. first pitch. We're going Ke'Bryan Hayes here of the Pittsburgh Pirates, over half a strikeout. Now, again, always shop around for your odds, guys. Find the sportsbook that provides the best odds for you. For this prop, it's available on both DraftKings and on BetMGM. We're getting on DraftKings here for -145, a little higher up, but a really solid prop. You see the data. 8 of his last 10 games, he has cashed this over for the Pirates, averaging 1.2 strikeouts per game over his last 10 games. And this is just not a recent data thing. This is on the year total, too, as well. You see in 2024, out of 50 games this year, he's cashed it in 30 out of 50, an average of 60% hit rate this year, and an average of 0.82 strikeouts per game. So really solid overall data here for Ke'Bryan Hayes. And if you scroll down to the splits here, guys, the picture gets a little bit better, I think. You look at the head-to-head matchup here, Ke'Bryan Hayes versus Green. 8 plate appearances versus Hunter Green dating back to 2018, a 125 batting average. But the important thing here is 4 strikeouts against Hunter Green in 8 plate appearances since 2018. That is, of course, a 50% strikeout rate versus Green. So really good head-to-head data there. You see Ke'Bryan Hayes on the season versus right-handed pitchers batting just 201 with a 21.7% strikeout rate. That's good for us. And Hunter Green on the year overall, a 25.8% strikeout rate, which is really good. It does drop a little bit versus right-handed batters to 22.2, but 22.2 is still a pretty good strikeout rate. This prop just feels like a hit. This is a recipe for a strikeout. 1 strikeout is all we need. It's a guy who's hitting at a 60% hit rate this year. I really like the spot for Ke'Bryan Hayes. All right, guys, for our second prop of today's slate, also coming from one of these earlier games, we have Tigers-Braves, 12:20 p.m. first pitch. We've got Adam Duvall of the Atlanta Braves under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Now, we can get this on Prize Picks for -119, but also available on BetMGM for -120 and DraftKings for -125. The data is fantastic on this one. You see on the season, Adam Duvall this year, a 76% hit rate on this under, 41 out of 54 games this year. He has cashed the under for Atlanta, an average of 1.13 HRRs per game. We go ahead and look, and we narrow that data down. We look at just the last 10 games, still an 80% hit rate for Duvall. 8 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the under, averaging 0.7 HRRs per game. And even if you go a little wider to last 20 games, still a 75% hit rate. 15 of his last 20 games, he has cashed the under, averaging 0.9 HRRs per game. And again, across the board, a lot of green. You see the head-to-head data. In 5 of his last 8 matchups with the Detroit Tigers. Now, a lot of those, of course, are coming last season. He was a member of the Boston Red Sox, but a 63% hit rate versus the Tigers. And we have a pretty solid matchup here. Tariq Skubal, who's pitching for the Tigers, so he's having a fantastic season in Detroit. You see 3 plate appearances versus Skubal for Duvall, dating back to 2018, and he hasn't hit off of him yet. He does have a 667 OBP, but has not gotten a hit off of him. Duvall this year is batting 168. Now, versus left-handed pitchers, he actually is hitting a lot better. He's batting 275 off of left-handed pitchers. The splits don't look fantastic here, but I still like the data for the most part because Tariq Skubal, you do see some red across the board, but there's slight shifts in the data. You see his ERA is 2.20, increases to 2.29 when going up against right-handed batters, a slight increase. His batting average allowed, 197, a slight increase to 202. A 202 batting average allowed versus right-handed hitters is still a fantastic data point. His home runs per 9 inning, slight increase. His OBA, slight increase. Yes, there's slight increases, but that line there, I know it shows all red. That's still really fantastic data for Tariq Skubal. I know Duvall versus left-handed pitchers, you do see his batting numbers significantly better, but you're going up against a pitcher like Tariq Skubal. I think they'll take care of business here. Like I said, even if he gets hit, I just don't see him covering this line. At minus 125 odds or minus 120 on BetMGM, I like the spot here for Adam Duvall. All right, guys, for our third prop of today's slate, we're moving on to the Padres-Phillies game, 1:05 p.m. first pitch. We're on Ranger Suarez, under 5.5 hits allowed. This is available on DraftKings for minus 125, also available on BetMGM and on Caesars. Looking at the 2024 data so far this year, in 14 games for Ranger Suarez, he's cashed the under in 10 out of 14 games. That is a 71% hit rate on the season, giving up an average of 4.07 hits allowed per game. Now, he has cashed the over in each of his last 2 games, which isn't great for us, but going up against the Mets, the Mets, which that one doesn't really make a ton of sense, but going up against the Orioles offense has been hitting the ball pretty well. But Suarez not having the last couple starts not fantastic, but prior to that was having a really good run to start the season. You look at the last 20 games again, 70%. It's pretty much the same data, but this going back to last season as well, a 70% hit rate on this under. So the moral of the story here is pretty good data overall. Again, last 2 starts not fantastic, but overall he's having a solid season for the Phillies. And looking down below here with the batting splits, yeah, look at Suarez numbers here across the board. 186 batting average allowed, fantastic. 96th percentile. His BABIP, 89th percentile. 27.5% strikeout rate, 89th percentile. I mean, across the board, you see 1.77 ERA. Really great data there for Ranger Suarez. And this is not a matter of like he's only pitched a couple games. He's pitched a lot. He's thrown a lot of pitches, faced a lot of batters. Really good set of data here for Suarez. And the Padres batting, versus left-handed pitchers, you do see in 2024, they are bottom 6 in Major League Baseball, a 226 batting average. You see his BABIP and hard hitting percentage, second worst in the league in both those categories. Now, over the last 30 games, there has been some improvement. You do see they're still bottom half of the league ranked, but not as bad as they've been overall. Strikeout percentage is still relatively low. You do see 22nd, 22 ranked, 26 ranked. So you do see the Padres over the last 30 games have been better, but overall this year, they're not a great hitting team versus left-handed pitchers, so I do like the spot here for Ranger Suarez. And looking at the head-to-head data, the last 2 times he's faced off with the Padres, the last time was this season on April 27th. He had just 3 hits allowed and what was a 5-1 win for the Phillies. And then last year, he did cash the over July 15th of last season. He had 6 hits allowed and what was a 6-4 win for the Phillies. All right, guys, cruising right along here. Our 4th prop of today's slate. We're moving on to the Diamondbacks-Nationals game, 4:05 p.m. first pitch. We're going Lourdes Gurriel. I'm not good with names, guys. And you guys know, if you watch my videos, you guys know that. Not great with the names. But over 1.5 total bases here. You get this for minus 110 on DraftKings. It is available on multiple sportsbooks, but DraftKings do offer the best odds for this prop. And look, overall in the season, not fantastic. You see a 46% hit rate on the year so far for Lourdes Gurriel Jr. 31 out of 68 games he's cashed this over. An average of 1.57 total bases per game, so he's averaging this every game, but he's had a couple of really big games mixed with some really small games. Head-to-head data, though, is pretty good. You see, in each of the last 4 times he's faced off with the Washington Nationals, he has cashed this over, including the one time they played this season, which was yesterday, was a 5-0 win for Arizona. He had 2 bases in the game. But you see he's had some pretty big games versus the Nationals in recent history. And if we just go ahead and look at the last 10 game data, you see 6 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, average of 1.6 total bases per game. So pretty good data overall here. We go on to the splits. It looks pretty good. You see he's batting 246 overall this year, but versus left-handed pitchers, that does increase to 325, which is a really, really nice increase for us. His BABIP increases to 362. ISO 221, his extra base hit percentage, 36%. And Patrick Corbin, who has not had the best of years, a 5.84 ERA overall, 3.15 batting average allowed. Now, versus right-handed batters, those two data points do get, for him, better. For us, worse, right? But still, a 5.69 ERA and a 3.12 batting average allowed. Moral of the story, guys, Patrick Corbin not having a very good season. You see here a 1-7 record as a starter this season. His slugging percentage actually does increase to 554, and his extra base hit percentage increases slightly to 40%. But the moral of the story, Corbin, not a very good pitcher this year. Gurriel having a decent season, but versus left-handed pitchers, it gets even better. So a really solid spot here for -110 odds. All right, guys, for the 5th prop of today's slate, we're moving on to the Mariners-Guardians game, 6:40 p.m. first pitch. By the way, we're about to hit the 11-minute mark in today's video. As always, guys, I appreciate everybody who watches through the entire thing. I put a lot of work in these videos, so I appreciate those who actually watch through the entire video and doesn't just skip through or just goes right to the link for the picks. Appreciate that. So comment 11 down below if you're still watching the video up to this point. Again, I always appreciate you guys for sticking around. And as always, the link for the picks will be down below in the description. But for our 5th prop of today's slate, we're going Tanner Bibee of the Guardians over 6.5 strikeouts. Now, you can go ahead and find this on multiple sportsbooks, but it looks like FanDuel offers the best odds here, -136. You can get DraftKings for -145. So again, as always, shop around for the best odds available. You see here, it is also available on Caesars and BetMGM, but FanDuel does provide the best odds for this pick. Don't worry what your parents say if you have multiple sports books or your friends or your family or your loved ones. It's okay to have multiple sports books and multiple bets going across multiple sports books. It's being smart. It's shopping for the best value and the best odds. So yeah, data looks okay on this one. You see 6 of his last 10 games, he has cashed the over, an average of 6.9. Very nice. Strikeouts per game. He's cashed it in 3 straight, including a really big game last week versus the Reds. You see he had 11 strikeouts and what was a 4-2 loss for Cleveland. But overall, a solid stretch here. And you see a couple close misses there for Bibee. And on the year so far, a 50% hit rate, 7 out of 14 games this year is cashed the over, averaging 6.21 strikeouts per game. Where I really fall in love with this prop is looking down below at the splits. Now, Tanner Bibee, you see here, strikeout percentage 27.6%, really good. It's a 90th percentile. His strikeouts per 9 inning, 10.4, 91st percentile. His ERA, 3.94, not fantastic, and his FIP, not fantastic. But going up against a Mariners team that versus right-handed pitchers, the worst team, which in our case is the best thing for us, a 27.7% strikeout percentage on the year. Now, over the last 30 games, there was a slight increase. You see 25.2, which is still bottom 3 in the league, but slightly better. The moral of the story being Seattle's offense, you see right there, 25th on batting average. Not a very good offense, but a really high strikeout rate versus right-handed pitchers. So when you're mixing that with one of the highest percentile strikeout rates for a pitcher this year, really solid prop here. He had 11. He's cashed in 3 straight games and had 11 strikeouts in his last games. For him to get 7, I'm pretty confident he can do it. All right, guys, 2 props left. Our 6th prop in today's slate. We're going to the Dodgers-Rockies game, 8:40 p.m. first pitch. We're going Ryan Feltner of the Rockies over 3.5 earned runs. Now, this has changed drastically from the time I picked it literally just an hour ago till now, which tells you people are starting to hop on and tail this pick. So get it now while you still can. When I first grabbed this was plus 115 or plus 110 on DraftKings. It's now minus 105. So the sportsbooks are starting to catch on to this. It is also available on Caesars, BetMGM, and on Underdog. But the sportsbooks are starting to catch on. People are hammering this. They're starting to find out the same thing that I am. And this is probably a really good bet. Now, when looking at the season data, it's decent. 50% hit rate, 7 out of 14 games this year. He has cashed this over. He gives up an average of 3.43, earned runs per game. And he has cashed it in 3 of his last 4 with a couple of really big games, including that game versus the Reds. But his last game on June 14th versus the Pirates, he gave up 4 earned runs and was a 5-2 win for Pittsburgh. Couple of things I really like. The first one being the head-to-head matchup. You see each of the last 2 times he's faced off with the Dodgers, both being last season. He gave up 5 earned runs in both games versus the Dodgers. You see a 13-4 win there and a 11-2 win there. So it's pretty good head-to-head success, an average of 5 earned runs per game. Again, small sample size, sure, but still worthy of talking about here. He doesn't need to last that long. You see the second game, only 3 innings pitched, gave up 5 earned runs. Doesn't need to be in there that long. You see so far this year, 1-6 record as a starter with a 5.71 ERA. Not very good for Ryan Feltner. And looking down below here, the splits, yeah, it looks really good. You see batting average allowed 294. That's, excuse my language. I've been swearing a lot lately, but I have to emphasize. All right, I'll try and clean up a little bit, I guess. It's freaking horrible. It's freaking horrible. 5th percentile, 294 batting average allowed. It's really, really, really bad, which in our case is really, really, really good. ERA again, 571. His FIP, 432. BABIP 338 across the board. Really bad data for him, which again is good for us. And look at the Dodgers batting versus right-handed pitchers. Yeah, I mean, they're one of the best offenses in the game right now. On the year, top 10 in every category, top 5 in a lot of these key categories. Now, of the last 30 games, they've cooled off a little bit, ever so slightly, but even still, you see here, for the most part, one of the best offenses in Major League Baseball. So, yeah, a really hard-hitting offense that can put up runs, that can score a lot of runs against a pitcher who gives up a lot of runs. I like that spot here. For -105, still grab it while you can before it keeps jumping up. All right, guys, in the 7th and final prop of today's slate, we're going to the Royals Athletics game, 9:40 p.m. first pitch. We're going J.J. Bleday over half a total base. We're going to go ahead and get that for -119 on Prize Picks, -120 Underdog, and then also available on DraftKings and Caesars for -130 odds. Now, a lot of green on this prop here that I like to see. So far this year, 45 out of 75 games this season, he has cashed this over for the Athletics, an average of 1.71 total bases per game. But even if you narrow that data down, 6 of his last 10 games, he has cashed the over, average of 2.1 total bases per game with a couple of really big hits. He did hit this last night. He had 6 total bases in what was a 7-5 win for the Athletics. So a couple of big hits, 3 straight games, and a couple of really big ones mixed in there. And looking at the head-to-head data here, you'll see in each of his last 7 times matching up with the Kansas City Royals, including all 4 of their matchups so far this season, he has cashed this over, an average of 3.14 total bases per game versus the Kansas City Royals. So pretty good data there. And down below, the reason why this is probably where it's at is because the splits don't look fantastic just from Bleday's point of view. Now, 3 plate appearances versus Cole Ragans dating back to 2018. And you see a 333 batting average. He got 1 hit, 2 total bases. So he had a double off of Ragans, whatever the case may be. But he had a double off of him. So that's the only hit he's had, but only 3 plate appearances since 2018. Bleday's batting 261 this year, pretty good. But versus left-handed pitchers, you do see a significant decrease there to 212 batting average, which isn't fantastic. His BABIP, another significant drop to 222. Interestingly enough, his ISO increases significantly to 288, and his extra base hit percentage, which is already high enough to begin with, 50%, 81.8%. Now, to be fair, only 56 plate appearances versus left-handed pitchers this year, so a smaller sample size, but still, 81.8% is pretty ridiculous. And now looking at the Cole Ragans side of things, you see a 3.14 ERA on the year, slight increase to 3.18. His batting average allowed 2.24. It takes a significant jump versus left-handed batters to 340. Again, only 53 batters faced, so a smaller sample size, but versus left-handed hitters, he gives up a lot of hits. Slugging percentage does increase to 440, but his extra base hit percentage drops from 27.8 to 17.6. All we need really is a single here to cash this. He's been cashing it pretty consistently all year long. He has got a hit off of Cole Ragans before. 212 versus I forget what kind of pitcher he was. Left-handed pitchers. 212 versus left-handed pitchers, not fantastic, but I'll go ahead and take that risk there for a -120 on Underdog, -130 on DraftKings. Pretty solid prop. All right, guys, and remember, when you click that link down below for the picks, it'll take you to this page here. You see all 7 of our picks from today's slate are right there. It also shows you down below how many picks are available on each specific sportsbook. You see 2 are available on FanDuel, 7 on DraftKings, 5 on Caesars, 5 on BetMGM, 3 on Prize Picks, and 4 on Underdog. And again, all you got to do is add to bet slip, and it'll take you right there, and you can go ahead and bet it on the parlay. You can bet it as straight bets, whatever you want to do with them. That is, of course, your prerogative. But it's very simple, very easy, thanks to Outlier. So, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching, guys. Again, guys, one more time, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. We really do appreciate it. We just hit 78,000 subscribers yesterday. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. So if you haven't hit it already, it doesn't take a lot of effort. Just hit that subscribe button down below. Join the Guy Boston Sports community. We have a ton of great content here on the channel that you guys will not want to miss out on. So, guys, until tomorrow when I'm back with another MLB Player Prop video, hope you guys are all winners. Have a good one, guys.